Welcome to MFM Reaper. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to program a plugin, Bassroom, and how I've programmed all of my plugins to be controlled by a Midi controller. This layout covers nearly every EQ I've got. I tend to stick to a pattern of high pass, low frequency, low mid, mid, basically high pass and low pass with 5 channels. So I need to cover those for frequency, and I need to cover those for Q, and I like to have on and off for those as well. On the right hand side where the faders are, I only need 5, so they're just the boosts for the frequencies. You don't need boosts for the high pass and low pass. The 8 pads on the controller I use to trigger custom actions along with the rewind, fast forward and record and loop button. Now, if your controller doesn't have this many parameters, then Bassroom is probably a good one to start with. You can't adjust the frequencies. So if you only got 2 rows of rotaries or faders, you're still going to be able to program the Bassroom plugin from this video. I don't use any third-party software. This is all programmed directly into Reaper, so anyone can do this for any plugin with any controller. Something to point out, it may just be an OS X problem, but when I programmed the VST3 version of Bassroom, and it does happen with other plugins, and opened it, nothing worked. Even though all of the parameters had been assigned, none of them would work. Anyway, if you double click that and turn that into the effects chain window and highlight it, it's fine. This was only an issue in the floating effects window, not the effects chain window. So when I open effects, Command F, they open as floating effects. This is the audio unit version, and this will work fine straight away. As well as controlling the parameters of the plugin itself, I also program the buttons to go up and down things like presets, so I can reset. And there's a button that toggles open and close the effects chain window on the selected channel. Let's assign a hotkey to make this all a lot faster. Open the action list window and look for Midi learn for last touch parameter. I tried other modifiers and for some reason they didn't work, so make sure if you use a modifier, use option. This is an OS X thing, maybe. Save whatever choice you've made there. Now open the plugin. It doesn't matter if it's the effects chain window or floating effects. And 2 ways you can do this. Move the parameter you want to assign to your controller physically, or go and choose this out of the effects parameter list, learn, and choose one there. The mouse isn't going to touch one now, it's going to remember what I've just physically moved. There are 5 frequencies. I'm going to assign that high frequency to my high frequency parameter on the controller. So now I'll just grab the next one with the mouse, open the window with the hotkey, move the controller, press return. If we weren't using a hotkey to open this window, we'd have to go up to parameter with the mouse and click learn every time we did this. So it's a little bit quicker, and you can use 2 hands. So now that all of the gains are working, let's reset all of these by holding Alt, click on each one of the parameters, it'll reset it to 0. And then we're going to save that as a default. And then when I go between presets, you can do this with the mouse, I do it with the controller. It's always good to save a default version of a completely zeroed plugin. And then when you mess something up, which I do, it's very simple to switch to the default and zero everything there. Now let's assign the Q parameter frequencies. I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way, using the mouse rather than the hotkey, just to show you another way of doing that. And the lowest frequency doesn't have a Q. So I'm just going to start up at the top. And to adjust it on the Bassroom, grab that, come down with the mouse to learn, move the parameter and press return. The Q isn't the easiest of things to get hold of with the mouse, which is one of the reasons it'll be great when it's on a controller. So I've done my high frequency, high mid, this is my mid frequency, yellow would be my low mid, and orange is low frequency. Bassroom is a relatively simple plugin to program, so it's a good one to start with. I'll be doing a video on Mixed Room as well, Bassroom and Mixroom, both of them, it depends where the mouse is. I'm adjusting cues now, you can't see them move. Mixroom itself is really busy visually as you move the mouse across it, so a controller makes that a lot simpler. And one thing I always do with all the plugins, the bypass. This is on the bottom right hand corner under the volume. I'll program the volume, that's always the furthest fader on the right. The SL has LEDs to tell you exactly what the name of that parameter is, and they have a good little program for speed naming those and programming it back to the controller. The important thing I learned programming effects parameters to the controller is not to try and follow the effects and its layout. Just set up a template on the controller for EQ and let that cover all your EQ. One for your compressors, cover all your compressors. When we saved the default earlier, it's only saving the positions of the parameters on the plugin. If you want to save the controller, then go to Parameter, Default Controller Mappings and click Save as Default. A good thing to do for use in future, go down to Effects Chains, save selected effects chain. The effects chain is in your application support in Reaper. The autosaves will be there already. I've made the other two folders. And in those folders I've subdivided the types of effects. I'll show you the point of saving these here in a second. Okay, so I'm going to put this into EQ. I already got it there, so I'll click on Bassroom. I'll save and replace. Now when I open from the effects window, it comes in as the default and the controller works. This isn't how I access my plugins. I rarely use that window to get my plugins. I use contextual toolbars like this. They're assigned across F13 to F18 and again separated up into types of plugin. The first one being EQ. So that's open and now I'm controlling the plugin. An ideal MIDI controller would have enough controls to control all of the parameters in the plugins you're using. That doesn't mean it has to be expensive. The SL was about £60 off eBay and has a great LED display of all the parameters. So I've loaded 4 plugins, 4 EQs up on this channel. I'm going to toggle them open on the controller. I can go up and down those with the fast forward and rewind on the controller. So I'm now working on the controller. That's the bass boost channel. If I change plugin, still the bass boost. Same, and then same on this. You end up needing to look at the plugin less and less because the reference becomes the controller itself. I'll also be showing how I set other plugins up in future videos. Thanks for watching.